From the Spacebird Media Studios, it's Roxanne and Ace Unlimited.
Hey, we're Roxanne and Ace. Welcome to Unlimited. It must be Friday, so the weekend is here. This is a show that is all about faith and friendship. We like to talk about the trends and the vibes of the week, but of course, conversation about how much we love God and how that incorporates into our daily lives is what this show is all about. So every Friday, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss what's happening. And it's all possible thanks to My Brother's Cup and Birmingham Mortgage Group. Roxanne, how's your week?
I am just great. It is always so good to see you. Anybody not familiar with us needs to know that we're the best of friends, very, very close. For a long time, we did a morning radio show together. When he left to greener pastures, I screamed, yelled, had a tantrum, and had to leave. I couldn't do it.
Grabbing onto my ankle as I'm out the door, right?
That's right. I got very spoiled with the best. And we're both family people. We love Jesus. We got a crop of kids between us. Been through more than one marriage on a good one, on the only one, on the one that will last forever. Right. And so we have a lot in common, but just enough differences to keep it spicy, baby.
That's right. Well, we love when we get a chance to dive right in. So, getting into the things that God is teaching us in his word. And I love this too. If you get a chance, make sure you like Faith Vibes. It's an additional podcast that gives you a little nugget that helps you to kind of deepen your walk with God. But finding out this week that there is something big in all of us.
Yes. And I really want to, God, just put on my heart. There's somebody listening or viewing that is so discouraged right now. Yep. You've got a God-sized dream. You don't have the resources, or you think you don't, the people, the money, the time, the place, but God just gave you this dream. Nehemiah, that's the answer. And Nehemiah had nothing, and he had a very big task to do, to build a wall that, Jerusalem needed restored. And he dared to go to the king of Persia. And those times, if you went to the king and he didn't like you much, you might leave without a head. Right. But he went and he dared and he asked and he prayed. And what happened? God showed up. And I love this for you. Don't give up. And I also love ask. Yeah. A lot of times we're really afraid to bother people or to get in people's way, or we feel like they're just going to say no. But here's the thing about that. If we never ask, the answer is always a no, right?
Sure. Well, and I love too, a lot of times we get ideas and we're ready to go, right? It's 4 to the floor. All right, God's given me this dream. We're going. But it's a hurry up and wait sometimes too, or often it is a hurry up and wait situation because God is putting things into place, or he's putting people into our line of sight, or even on our team. How many times have we shared our dream with someone and they're like, oh, I would love to be a part, I've always wanted to be a part of something like that. And, we should collaborate. And, and those kinds of things to me only add to the instrumentation of God saying, look at all the things that I'm lining up for you, rather you pursuing it and trying to do it all by yourself. Let me take away some of the obstacles that could slow you down if you let me do it at my pace.
And I think when we have a spirit of gratitude, more just gets added on to you, if that makes sense. If we wake up, we're happy about our lives, then I think we find more fruit in everything we do. Nice. Men reveal their dating deal breakers. And I wanted to see, Ace, if you agreed with some of these. A man said that he would not date a woman severely allergic to peanut butter because he eats a lot of peanut butter. He loves peanut butter, and he wouldn't want to be around a non-peanut butter.
I mean, I will say 2 things. I have a health food expert friend of mine that she had me try a peanut butter substitute that if she had not told me, I would have not known the difference. So This guy, if he really likes the woman, like, peanut butter or not, man, just change from Jif to If, whatever the knockoff brand is. But I understand though, when it comes to those deal breakers like that, because I remember, there was a time, and not necessarily admitting anything I haven't admitted on this show before, but I'm willing to admit that I would have something like as I was going into the relationship or into the dating or the date, and I'll say, okay, if it's these three things, or if it's this one thing, this is my out. And 9 times out of 10, I used it. And the one that I didn't use it on was Tawny. And my only out with her was the kitty cat. And he's like by my feet right now. So, that tells you how much that lasted.
Well, it's funny you bring up cats, because a man who loves cats said he wouldn't want to be around a woman who's allergic. We kind of have that situation here, and it is me or the cat, and I won. So there's no cats. Cats make me super sick. I love them, but wow.
Right.
Some say they wouldn't date a woman who smokes. The smoking would be tough for me because of smells. I suppose there's a way you get around that if you really love somebody, but wow.
Well,
where are you with smoking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, that's not my thing. I don't necessarily, and nothing against judgment of anyone who does, or, is trying to quit. We pray for you and applaud that. But the thing is, for me, I like clean. So I like to smell clean. I like things around me to smell clean and be clean. And smoking just smells non-clean. Like they haven't invented the fresh scented cigarette. It just doesn't exist.
Well, and I hear people screaming, vape, but that's another story right here. And it's funny you mentioned cleaning, because I found this just for you, Ace McKay, the only person I know of who's cleaner than me. Oh. And that's saying a lot, because you and I are neat freaks. We really are. And so cleaning schedules daily what you should do. And I think you already do this. It's the chaos of things not being returned to where they belong. So for 10 minutes every day, if you just do a pickup and put things where they belong, it keeps it from compiling.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this before. It's the present me taking care of future me. So like last night, for instance, I had a moment to do a couple of things in the house that I normally would reserve for Saturday. But I'm like, if I go and do them now, then it's out of the way for Saturday. And then that's one less thing or 4 less little things on my plate. Cause that's the thing, is that we let the little things pile up, and it's like, I don't know where to start. Or do you do this? Like you go to put something away from one room as you are putting things up, and then you see a mess somewhere, and then you start cleaning there, and then you forget where you were. And it's like that's the hard. It's like, wait, what room was I in? What was I? I've lost my focus.
Make the bed every day. That's just like numero uno to me. I think it's super important. Sweep the kitchen, and that's probably an everyday thing, because things now, laundry. A lot of people will wait a while, but they suggest if you do a load a day, then there isn't the constant effort at doing laundry. What do you think?
Well, laundry is the one point of contingence in our house, because I have 2 teenagers that when they clean their room, it's getting all the dirty laundry off the floor. So then they just take it to the laundry room, drop it, and then no one knows what's clean, what's dirty, what's this. And the last thing I want to do is pick it up and smell it. No, thank you. But I'm of the mindset, we have a rule that if you put a load in and there's a load in the dryer, even if it's not your stuff, just bring it up. So that way it keeps the cycle going. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But, if hey, I brought you laundry up. Hey, thank you. Then we know whatever's in the laundry room needs to be washed. And otherwise I lose sight. And then that's the room that I walk in and go, other than my teenager's room, which I can just close their doors because, out of sight, out of mind.
Deep dusting is a once a month thing, and once a year they suggest moving every piece of furniture to get the doodads and the dust bunnies and the pieces of food and who knows whatever else.
Do you
nasty stuff underneath the furniture?
Yeah. Do you have a room like the automatic robot?
A Roomba? No, I wish. It's on a wish list. You do that, don't you?
No, we don't.
No,
it's on. I can't bring myself to spend the money.
I know, me either.
It's a little costly in my head. So I need it to come down. But yes, especially with as much cat hair and stuff as I have in my house, I would love that.
My daughter has one, swears by it, and they have 2 dogs, and they say they couldn't live without it. And we're not being paid for this advertisement.
Right. Room, if you'd like to sponsor this show.
Yes, Roomba, if you'd like to sponsor, we'll talk all about you. My brother's cup. I know you saw the photograph from the weekend. We had a women's conference in Coleman, and Kay Pittman drove all the way from Tupelo to display all the coffees, and the Roxanne blend flew off the table, which made me very happy. The new Keurigs are super popular, little K-cups, and that woman is amazing. And what she's done with this ministry, that's what it is. All of the coffee goes toward missions. And the coffee, she said, is very special. It does not have mold like a lot of coffee does. I'm like, a lot of coffee has mold?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't know that. She said, yes, this coffee is so pure. It's really enjoyable.
Well, and I hope people had a chance to sample it if they had never had it, because once you smell it, we talk about smells, like once it hits you at the certain, whoo, I want a cup of that, and then you're spoiled at that point. So be a coffee snob with us if you like, knowing that it's also helping missionaries. Find out more at mybrotherscup.com or order yours at roxanneandace.com.
Before you just cut off toxic people, that's a new stylish thing to do now, is to decide, well, you're toxic, you're done. It is suggested that if you're a Christian and if you love Jesus, we need to be all about communicating properly. And instead of cutting, perhaps we need to have an uncomfortable conversation or two. That doesn't mean stick around for abuse. It doesn't mean be oppressed where the decisions about your future are taken away. Sometimes you have to leave and it's healthy. But they say the caveat is being a communicator and not letting others think, well, she's cut me off, I don't know why. It affects their self-worth.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, and especially having teenagers in the house right now that are starting to deal with some of those toxic situations and things that you got to teach them, you got to navigate. Hey, this is like, you could pull yourself out of that person's life, but at the same time, you also are going to have to learn how to work with them or be in class with them or on stage with them or whatever. And so when you have those moments, I'm of the mindset, yes, God reveals situations or people in the light so that you don't become a part of their collateral, for a Jesus way to say that. But to stay, ain't my circus, ain't my monkeys, right? So how can you distance them but still love them? Because again, if all Christians do is, well, you're toxic and you're out, then, how are they going to know Jesus in the hearts that we have if all we're doing is running away from them? Like they may be going through something. It's the whole hurting people hurt people. And maybe they're going through something that they really do need you in their life. And you just got caught into a moment with them. But yeah, it's like, boundaries are huge. And that's something we've talked about on previous shows that I think always will bear repeating. But we have to find that line. I think that's where we have to lean into God. Like, God, how do you want me to love so-and-so? And he'll show you, right? I mean, you've had those same situations.
Absolutely. He is faithful in that. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, is ask the Lord what he wants done with it. And usually he'll tell me to be still.
Yeah.
And that means just don't speak unless I tell you to. And so I try to be cognizant of that. I wouldn't take one single step when it comes to getting a mortgage without Terren Newell. His business is just phenomenal. It's because of reputation. People know how good he is. And right now, a government loan is at 5.5, a conventional, the lowest on the market. He can get you to 6. And he's working with a lot of folks to make it happen right now. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Well, of course, when you're talking about Florida and Alabama, that's a lot of families. So if you are in either or you're planning to relocate during the summer, this is the time. Give Terren a call and set up your appointment. Because once you know that you're in these special programs that he's found specifically for your financial situation, then you can have a peace about walking into the house hunting process. So check him out today. You can go to bhammortgage.com or you can call him at 205-259-1656. Tell him you heard about it on Roxanne and Ace.
Roxanne and Ace, unlimited, always thankful for who the Lord brings to us to learn from and to grow with. And I've been so excited, waiting for a couple months now for this very special guest to join us. She's a therapist and author. She does a very popular podcast. She helps people with past wounds. Anybody out there with some wounds that need some healing? She reaches by email 70,000 folks that are dialed into the knowledge that she brings them. Faith and psychology merge here, which I think is fabulous. Her new book is called I Shouldn't Feel This Way. Name What's Hard, Tame Your Guilt, and Transform Self-Sabotage into Brave Action. Yes, I've got my Wonder Woman pose ready to go for brave action. We welcome to the show, Dr. Alison Cook. Hi there.
What an intro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, and Dr. Cook, I feel like there's so much in the midst of our emotions of when we're dealing with things of guilt, whether it's mommy guilt, daddy guilt, work guilt, past guilt, whatever. Where do we even begin?
That's the title of the book. That voice, I shouldn't feel this way, was the voice I heard in my head for so long. And what I began to notice was when I feel that, that's guilt, that's beating myself up. It's not the voice of God. It's not the voice of Jesus. That's my cue to take a deep breath, slow down, and actually notice that means I'm feeling something. I'm feeling something that maybe I don't want to feel, but it probably needs my attention. And shaming ourselves, criticizing ourselves, guilt tripping ourselves doesn't help. It doesn't get us to the root of what's really going on in our spirits.
How responsible are we for those negative thoughts that we think? What can we do to combat that? Because research shows we have a lot of negative thoughts, and a lot of it is rumination. We just kind of park there and stay there every day.
The second step that I walk you through in the book, the step of framing, it's sort of the least glamorous step, but it's the most important. It's the slowing down, right? It's the taking a beat to notice, what am I actually telling myself? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What are the messages I'm telling myself that aren't of God, that aren't of the Spirit, that aren't constructive to me? So we can't change those negative thoughts or those feelings if we don't notice them, if we don't name them with compassion. We don't criticize ourselves into change. So that slowing down to notice, oh my gosh, I've just told myself 6 times what a lousy parent I am. I've just told myself 100 times what a bad friend I am. What's that about? Right? Not to shame ourselves for the negative thoughts, but to notice them, bringing them out in front of you, and then inviting God into that experience to reframe it. I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. Yes. Am I dropping some balls? Yes. There's no condemnation in Christ. That's just true. It's okay. Take that breath, and then I can brave a better path. So that's the third practice.
Well, and my wife's awesome. Anytime she hears either myself or the kids say something negative about ourselves, she'll go, "Don't talk about my husband that way," or "Don't talk about my kids that way." So it's kind of trained us to realizing that it comes out automatically.
Yeah. And the thing for people to remember is that guilt, the feeling of guilt, does not always mean you've done something wrong. The feeling of guilt is an emotion, like any other emotion. We feel guilty sometimes after we've done something brave or after we've done something hard. And so again, when we start beating ourselves up, to stop, slow it down, wait a minute, like your wife says, why am I talking to myself this way? It may not even be that I've done something wrong. It may be that I'm feeling tender or vulnerable or scared. And we know that Jesus moves toward us in those vulnerable emotions. And so I love that. We have to start saying, wait a minute, this is not how God talks to me. Why am I talking to myself this way? What would I say to my child if they were walking around beating themselves up? I'd say, whoa, what's going on there, honey? Sit with me for a minute. Let me put my arms around you, right? We have to learn to do that with ourselves.
You mentioned step 3 in the book is to be brave. The Lord tells us be strong and courageous. Do explain for us.
Yeah. So once we kind of understand, oh, wait a minute, the thing I'm really feeling 9 times out of 10 is overwhelmed, is scared, is tired, right? So once I understand what's really happening, then I can take the brave step. And the brave step might be, I give you sort of really practical guidelines. It's like you're at a busy crossroads, right? You've been driving a car. There's a million different directions you can go. You have to learn to stop the car, slow yourself down, figure out what's really going on, and then you can pick the right path. And the right path might be, I need to take a day off. That might be the brave thing. The brave thing might need to be to say, kids, mommy needs a timeout. I love you, but you need to do this for, the brave thing might be to say, I actually need to say no to that event, right? The brave thing might be to have a hard conversation with a spouse, with a friend. It might be to set a healthy boundary, but until you slow yourself down at that busy crossroads and really get yourself calmer with God, you won't know which of those brave steps. 9 times out of 10 in my work with women, the brave step is, I need to do something kind for myself. I've been working really hard.
Well, and we hear a lot of people saying, that they're like, when they take a day off, I need a mental day. And I know that's kind of become the common term, but I've come to realize the things that, like, when I was a kid and my mom would like send me to my room and I couldn't have dessert or I couldn't go to the party I wanted to go to. Those are now my adult goals, because I'm trying to give myself, like, don't fill the empty space with things.
And we show our kids that, especially if we're talking about parenting, it's not just that we take the time out, right? A time out is a really wonderful thing, like you said, but it's what we do with it. So we're showing our kids, man, I need a minute for myself. And then when we come back, well, what did you do? It's like, I did some things I really love that are really nourishing for me. I took a walk. I, played with the dogs. I just took a minute to listen to some music that really soothes me. And now I feel better. Do you see how I feel better? Because they're going to see that. And that's what we're trying to teach them when they're all wound up, right? Yeah. And so it's what we do. It's learning ourselves. That's another practical thing I go through in the book. Learn yourself. What do you need when you take that time out? Because sometimes if we just take a time out, and I talk about numbing in the book, and we just go numb and just go scroll or binge or stress eat for 2 hours, we're not actually giving ourselves the nourishment we need. But the beautiful journey with God of going, what I really need to do is take a sort of anger walk with the Lord, and just get it out, or call a friend and be like, I need you to hear me for a second so that I can soothe myself. Learning how to soothe ourselves in the way we try to teach our kids to do it.
Dr. Cook, I read that we touch our phones every 10 minutes, that we are on social media 17 hours a week, and it's now officially eating up 7 years of our lives. That has to add to the tension and the anxiety that we're feeling.
Yes, and it's a replacement for the nourishment we really need. I did a social media detox for about a year, and I write about it in the book. Because exactly what you're saying, anytime I'm feeling an emotion I don't want to feel, right? I'm a little anxious or I'm tired of this, just pick up the phone. It's the most efficient, easy way. It's not a healthy way, but it's the quickest way to just get ahead of something. And it doesn't actually, this is all the research is showing us, it's primarily destructive, not constructive. And so as I took that social media detox, I began to notice this amazing thing. Okay, if my phone isn't there to grab, what do I actually need in this moment? And it was this moment of, oh my gosh, I need to move my body. I need to take a walk. I need to listen to some music. I need to talk to a friend, right? There's all these wonderful things we can do that move us toward other people, that move us toward God. We do sometimes need a break, but it's the right kind of break that our body is cueing us to look for.
Well, and if I'm hearing you right, because this is something that we say in our house all the time, is that your emotions are valid. What you're feeling is a valid emotion, but it's what you do with it. And we try to create that sanctuary so that home is the place you can be ugly and then let it out and then go, okay, now what am I going to do? So I feel like that we're getting a little bit of sense of breath today, just in knowing that the emotions and the guilt and everything, it is valid.
It's valid. Your emotions are there for a reason. They're there for a reason. Your body is cueing you. You need something. And so there's 2 things we're trying to do. We're trying to pull back the things we reach for that don't actually help us in this age of constant distractions and constant numbing, but then ask the deeper question of, what do I actually need? Right? And so, yes, to your point, I tell people all the time too, because numbing is a way of suppressing emotions. It's keeping those emotions down. Now, listen, at the end of a long day, watching a couple shows or doing something, and maybe even, maybe we say, I can't deal with this right now. That's okay, right? We need healthy escape. The difference is, do you wake up in the morning and go, all right, now I got to work through that. Now that my mind's a little more alert, what was that guilt about? What was that anxiety about? Why did I get so mad? Right? And then you do the work of kind of piecing through those truth pieces of those different emotions. But we do have to pay attention. The way God designed us is with these emotions. And so we have to have these practices every day. I take a walk every day. I tell people I do journal naming every morning where I just name it. I don't analyze it. I just say, Lord, here's what I'm feeling today. I'm tired, I'm scared, and I'm anxious. And I feel pretty good today. Some days are like that, but I just name it in my journal. And then every afternoon, I do another round on a walk. Okay, God, what's going on? What's in my mind? What am I thinking about? What am I feeling? It's a practice. This is not a one and done kind of thing.
Well, Dr. Alison Cook, you are amazing. Your work is helping millions of people, and we so appreciate you spending time with us. What is the best way for people to connect with all your resources?
Thank you so much. I so love this conversation. I love you guys. The best way is dralisoncook.com. You can find all my books. The podcast is the Best of You podcast. That's all there too. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Less now. I am back on with new filters in place. It's hard. It's an ongoing battle, right?
Yes.
At Dr. Alison Cook.
Well, Dr. Alison Cook has been our guest. The book is called I Shouldn't Feel This Way. Name What's Hard, Tame Your Guilt, and Transform Self-Sabotage into Brave Action. Thanks again for your time and your wisdoms today.
Parents are showing photographs of ugly newborns, and people go, oh, no baby is ugly. That's really mean. Why would you
Right?
ever say anything like that? But some babies are born looking like they're elderly. And if you need proof, there's tons of TikTok, and it's parents having fun. Of course, they know their baby's the most beautiful.
Sure.
But ugly newborns, there's a tag, and some of them look like, old men, or like Hannah came out like, kind of bent, like kind of a little cone, and she
Right.
came out of it. But birth is rough. And
Wow. Breaking news.
oh.
Well, and what's funny, like my daughters were very little, like they were tiny, like look, I call them peanuts. Like I could just, from my hand to my forearm, like that was as long as they were. But Lennon, she was breech. So like she had this perfectly big daddy shaped head. And every time you drop her legs, she'd go butterfly, and then McCartney was 4 weeks early. And she looked, by the time we got our first photo of her, she looked like this little Indian baby. And I was like, are you sure that's like, did they swap them in the NICU? Like, what's going on here? So, but that's the beautiful thing is watching them grow and watching them plump up and, and all of those things. That's what makes being a parent so amazing.
I couldn't wait to talk to you about this because I already know what your comfort show is, your TV comfort show. They did a lot of research, Nielsen did, on the top 10 most watched shows in 2023. And a lot of them are much older programs because people were looking for emotional stability, a good way to relax. Gilmore Girls, I have never seen a single episode. What is wrong with me? And I can hear people screaming right now. What's wrong with me? I just haven't. I don't know why. There is no good reason.
Right.
I need to fix it. Because now, if you're 15, people are watching Gilmore Girls, young teens, like it's airing today, and they've fallen in love with the ace.
Sure.
I know yours is Friends. Yours is Friends.
Friends is my go-to. I have added Ted Lasso to the rotation though. So, that's kind of when I'm home alone or, needing just to like relax. That feels like family to me, right? But Gilmore Girls was great because at the time that I started watching it, my girls were getting into it as well. My oldest at the time was a teenager. And even to this day, like we'll quote like "Oy vey" with the poodles already. Like we just quote lines from the show. But the thing that I will say is out of all of the things that I love most about Gilmore Girls as a favorite is when Sebastian Bach was cast as the guitar player for the band. So it's like this teen band, from like a high school band, and he's like an old musician just looking to jam, and he comes in. It is the most brilliant casting. Probably my second next to oh my goodness, what's her name? That was cast as Chandler's dad / drag mom. Oh, I can't even think of the actress's name. She was in Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas. Help me out. Where is my brain right now? Okay, but anyway,
I don't know why I can see her
people
face.
at home know what I'm talking about.
Name is not coming to me.
But
Other
those are the two most amazing castings. So when you come to your comfort shows, you like those little nuances because you keep going back to them.
Other shows, Grey's Anatomy, people absolutely love it. The Big Bang Theory, my husband's a big fan of that. Suits, NCIS, people are screaming out their favorites right about now. I can feel it, but I'm weird. There's an old cop show called The Wire. It's so good. It's on Max. If you like cop shows, you have to
Right.
like cop shows. I do. It has a little content because it's a cop show.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'll
Kathleen
clarify
Turner is the name I was thinking of. Thank you,
Kathleen
Lord.
Turner, what is wrong with us? My goodness.
Just I have to say though, when it comes to shows and being able to, gel on those things, those are the things I love. Like my son and I just got done watching Fallout. My daughter and I are watching Survivor right now, the new season. We're several episodes behind, but like it's that chill, like it's the only chill time. Even if you still have your phone in your hand, it's all that's left. You know what I mean?
Well, check it. I know you won't because it's reality TV, but Love is Blind. Oh, it's so entertaining.
Yeah.
It is so entertaining just to see when they finally see each other after they have committed to getting married, the look on their face and the drama that happens afterwards. It's kind of fun.
You and your romance shows, I tell you. Well, we always like to wrap up each and every week checking in on each other's vibes. So, Roxanne, I'll let you go first.
So I got a butterfly house. It was actually a rejected gift, the Santa thing that you do at Christmas that nobody wants. And it was a butterfly house. And I thought, oh, I want that. So I put my butterfly house in my garden and there are no butterflies, none. So my husband did a little research. You have to have a butterfly bush. So I found one today. It's installed under my butterfly house.
Okay.
And so I will let you know if the butterflies move into their new apartment.
All right. I wasn't sure if you were trying to attract them or distract them. So
no, I want butterflies.
Okay.
What I don't want is birdies because they
Right.
eat my strawberries and they eat tomatoes.
Yeah.
What I don't want is rabbits because they love the greens and they love the strawberries. I have an owl that will scare the dew out of you. His head turns all the way around, all the way. His eyes have like radar and
Yeah.
he screeches. He's awesome. And so he intimidates me. He
Right.
better intimidate a critter.
So it's like a scarecrow, but for your garden.
Yes.
All right. I can get on that. Well, my vibe this week is musically. I have discovered, I'm wearing his shirt, Cedric Burnridge. He's a blues artist.
Oh.
And it's one of those moments. I don't know if you've, also a music lover, if you've ever bought something based on just like the album cover just spoke to you, like you didn't know anything about the music or the artist or they're new to you. And you're like, that looks like something I would listen to. And so his new album came out on Record Store Day, which was a couple weeks ago. And then he came to town and I got a chance to meet him and see him live.
Oh.
And the thing that was cool, we got to hang out a little bit at his little like meet and greet. And he starts telling me about his faith. And he's talking about, he's like, he goes, I wouldn't have what I have if it wasn't for God. And I live for him every day. And I'm like thinking in my head, how do I get him on the show? Like,
really? Did you ask him? You asked him.
We didn't get that far. There were other people in line. So I had to like, get my shirt and move along. But it was one of those where, and that's the thing I think I love most about blues music and why I, growing up on it, it was great to play along with as a drummer, but lyrically, like it's just the rawness and the same thing I would say even maybe for country music too, is that, whereas like worship music, it's, we're giving our all to God, but in blues and, or maybe sometimes country, you can just be raw and you can be talking to God and go, life is just hard. Dun, 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 dun. Life is just hard. Dun, dun, and it's your prayer. It's your chant out to God. But the Lord save me. Dun, 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 dun.
When I was in country radio, there's a tear in my beer.
Yes. Lord help us for the fact that those songs are somewhere else.
Country has changed. No.
Yes.
Thank you for anybody who wants to get mad about that. But.
It is its own circle. I mean, for real. I mean, I've had the hour-long discussion with my wife over the new Beyonce country record.
It's so good. It's so good. good.
Women unite, man. I just
You
don't
don't like
get
it? Oh,
No,
I
it just
do.
doesn't speak to me.
Oh,
And
I
it's not
do.
country at all. Like it's country flair.
No, but it has, yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. We could have the Beyonce podcast for sure and bring my wife in and everyone else who's
Oh,
loving
so
this
she
record.
likes it too?
Oh,
See?
yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Oh, I do too.
She
Yeah.
listens
It's really
to it
good.
in extension. She told me all the reasons why I should. So, anywho, so enjoy your vibes as you do. Of course, thanks to Dr. Alison Cook for joining us this week, and thanks to Birmingham Mortgage Group and My Brother's Cup. Enjoy your week, and Roxanne, I love you.
I love you.
You've been listening to Roxanne and Ace Unlimited. To make sure you don't miss future shows, you can subscribe anywhere you like to podcast and catch up on anything you've missed. Find out more at roxanneandace.com. Roxanne and Ace Unlimited is a production of Spacebird Media.